for Real Estate Religion and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments. I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister, and I have my PhD in Sacred Biblical Studies. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk to you about a book that I am writing. It is entitled Achieving the Dream of Home Ownership Early in Your Life. And this is a step-by-step guide to buying a house. Okay? As you probably know that I have put in Buy a Home with your Section 8 Home Ownership Voucher, which specifically talks to individuals that are on Section 8 that want to buy a house. But this book talks to anyone at all who wants to buy a home. This takes you step by step from the inception in your mind when you think that you want to buy a house to preparing you for home ownership, to the closing and to the time when you actually get your keys to your house, which is a very exciting experience. And I'd like to thank you for joining me today. And this book will be available on Housing and Emergency Services for Low-Income People.com, as well as the other websites listed at the bottom of your screen. And you can pre-order the book if you like. You can also email me, text me, call me, and let me know if you're interested in getting a copy. And thank you for joining me today. Now, owning a home is one of the most wonderful experiences that anyone could ever experience. You know, it's a great experience. Owning your own home. When you first get the keys to your own house, it's a more exhilarating feeling than getting the keys to your apartment. Even if you're renting a house, it's a feeling that you really can't explain because it's something that belongs to you. And I'm sure that most people would like to own their own home, but some people are too afraid. Some people don't know what's involved. They think you need a lot of money, and a lot of that's not true. Okay, not with the programs that are out there today. And I've researched a lot of them, and there's still more that still are coming up every day. Okay, owning a home is a responsibility, but it is also more pleasurable than renting. It's more rewarding, actually, also, than renting. Okay, when you own a home, you possess a sense of pride and excitement. You're proud of where you live. You don't mind the work that it takes to keep the house looking good. Okay, you're proud to have your guests over. Okay, to show your house off to people in the family and friends. It gives you room to decorate, and gives you extra bedrooms. You got extra rooms. I always like a room with an attic and a basement. This way I always have some extra rooms to decorate, or for a growing family, you're going to need extra rooms. Now, the first thing you need to determine is home ownership right for you. Maybe, you don't want to own a home. Maybe you just want to rent. Okay? But sometimes owning a home is good because you have something to leave your children, your grandchildren. You have something, they won't have to struggle as hard because they'll have something to start them off with, okay, when you're not around anymore. Okay, but understand that your income, expenses, and your spending habits, home values, and use of credit, if any, are all a determining factor in determining how much of a home you qualify for. Okay, it doesn't matter the neighborhood, because the prices of the house is what determines, what you can afford. Okay, and a lot of times it's in a specific neighborhood that the prices are cheaper and not so cheap. But as a real estate broker, I find that not to be true, because I have found some houses that are quite reasonable. They always needed work, okay, but they were in nice areas, very decent areas. I got a house that was I paid $10,000 for it. It's 90% off of the market value. Okay, it was vacant and it needed work. It only needed about $30,000 worth of work for the certificate of occupancy to be obtained. And what that is that means that now it's livable. It's not doesn't mean that it's going to be beautified, because the house itself is already pretty. All you have to do is put some soap and water on it, and you get all the beautification that you want. It had old windows in it, okay, and those windows work just fine. I don't need no brand new windows in it. Of course, when you start beautifying the property, that increases the market value a little bit more. But you don't want your house in the middle of the block to be worth more than the houses that are next to you, because you're not going to get very much for it. You know, you're not going to get too many people that's going to, when you get ready to sell it or whatever, or you get ready to refinance it, you're not going. It's going to be harder for you to do that, because the appraisals and the assessment values are determined by the neighboring houses. Okay, not just your house. So if your house is the most expensive house on the block, more than likely it's going to be harder for you to either sell it and get what you want, or you get a mortgage on it and get what you want. You're going to have to settle for a little bit less money, but nevertheless, there's money to be made when you own a home. Okay, now the first thing that you need to consider, are you financially ready to purchase? And a lot of people don't know whether they are or not. Okay, and how we determine that? Now, certain things that you need to be done to prepare yourself for home ownership. Unless you are already prepared and you already know what you need to do. When you locate the dream home, there is also a process. Once you sign the papers and move into your dream home, you'll have a responsibility now as a homeowner to take care of your dream home. And this book will prepare you, okay, for home ownership. Okay. How long have you been employed? Usually 2 years of steady employment is what the banks require. Lending institutions, financial institutions, loan officers, mortgage brokers, they all require at least a minimum of 2 years steady employment on a job. Okay? And it's sometimes, plus you need a consistent income to qualify you for a mortgage. So that means you would have to have been working for 2 years consecutively. Okay? Every day of those 2 years, you would have to be working. Okay? You would need to have a plan on living in your new home for several years. In other words, when you buy a house, don't plan on moving out right away. Plan on staying there, for at least 10 years or so. Don't plan on moving out right away. First-time home buyers should not be considered as short-term investment. Now, another thing you need to consider is how willing are you to maintain your home? Are you willing to take care of it? Are you willing to go through the extra mile to, if something breaks, you're going to have to call the contractor. You don't have a landlord to call because you're not paying rent anymore. Okay, you're going to have to take care of it yourself. Okay, you don't call the bank. The bank's not going to fix it. You are going to have to be the one responsible, the heads of household. Okay, with the furnace, and you have to be prepared for these things when you purchase a home. And these are the things that we will prepare you for here at Affordable Homes and Apartments. And this book will also prepare you for it. Achieving the dream of home ownership early in your life. Okay, you must be willing to take care of the repairs. Okay, you must be prepared, actually, to take care of the repairs, the maintenance, your front yard, your backyard, and every floor in your house. Now, if you feel that you don't want a whole lot of house to take care of, get you a one-story house. Sometimes you can get it with a basement and without. You can get one with crawl space, and you can also get a shed and put it on the property and keep your stuff in there if that's what you choose. Me, at least, if I have a one-story, give me a basement at least, so I have some extra storage space. That's the purpose of getting a house, so you can put more stuff in it. You have more rooms to do what you want to do. Your husband might want a room for himself, so you can go and chill out in, or to entertain the boys in. The women, the ladies in the family, she might want a place for her, so she can go and do what she got to do. You might want to put a gym in one of the rooms. You might have someone that sews or paints or does music, or maybe someone that writes like me, need a quiet space. So you got, all kinds of rooms that you can use, all kinds of places that you can go. You can turn this room into a multi-purpose room. I can use it for my writing, and then you can use it for your music, but not at the same time. You can have the basement, you can have a pool table in there. That can be the party place. Have your Christmas lights all over the basement to light it up. Have your DJ down there, your music box or whatever. You don't need a DJ now, just press a button or click a button actually, and you have your music continuous live stream with video. Okay, and you have your music down there. You can have your gym down there. Party hardy all day long, all night long, until the break of dawn. Whether it's the gospel music or to whatever kind of music you like. You could sing down there, you could rehearse, you could practice. The possibilities are endless when you're on your own home. But the main thing is that you'll have access to cash whenever you need it, okay? As a responsible homeowner, and I say responsible because responsibility is one of the main things that you have to exercise when owning a home. If you're responsible when you rent your apartment, if you're responsible when you rent a house, or whatever it is kind of dwelling that you live in, if you feel that you are responsible and that you are willing to go the extra mile, okay, then you can move forward in owning a home. Okay, but what I do is I prepare you to become ready to own a home. Okay, and there are other organizations out there that do it as well. Okay, but and when I do my workshops and whatnot, and this is how I prepare you for your home ownership. Okay, purchasing a home is a luxury, like I said, and I can't stress it enough. It's a responsibility. Okay, which is going to require time and money. Adding repairs to your budget will help prepare you when something doesn't work, when something goes wrong and needs fixing, like the furnace or the hot water tank, or even the electricity. Okay, and you want to prepare for that because you could be in the dead of winter and your furnace goes kaplooey, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do? You're going to call somebody, but they want money, okay, to pay for the repairs. Okay, there's one thing I don't mess with. I don't mess with gas, and I don't mess with. I can mess with electricity a little bit. Turn the electricity off. I can mess with some wires and stuff a little bit. I can deal with that, but I don't mess with gas. Okay, I can mess with pipes. I can do something like that, but I'd rather leave the complicated stuff to the professionals. And some states require that anytime any work goes wrong with any device that requires a licensed professional to have installed it in the first place, that you're going to need a licensed professional to fix it. Now, of course, who's going to know in the middle of the night that a licensed professional came to fix it or not? Well, maybe that code enforcement officer from the city may have to come back into your house again at some point to inspect. Okay, you might want to get a second mortgage. Any number of things can happen that will require the attendance of the city to come in and inspect. And when they come and inspect and they see a faulty job having been done by an unlicensed professional, that could be a fine. Because safety is first. And you want to always make sure that you're safe. You be sleeping in the middle of the night, and what happens? You don't want something to go further wrong with it. I'd rather deal with a furnace, because there are other ways that I can get heated up. Okay? I can heat my heat, I can get warm. You know what I mean? But if you ain't got no house, if your furnace done blew up, or whatever, or if you got a flood or something more catastrophic than you had when your furnace wasn't working, then you got more problems on your hand. Now you're going to have to spend more money, and you might be in more trouble with the city because the city will become involved. Okay? Safety is first. Okay? Now, the question is, we need to ask yourself, are you ready? You say no, but do you want to be ready? And then that's another question that you have to ask. Now, first you have to create a budget and a maintenance plan for your family. And always put aside some extra money for emergencies that you're going to need to be prepared for. Now, a mortgage is, expensive, but there's still room to put money away. Okay, you're going to have to trim down your spending habits. The things that you used to buy, some of those things you're not going to be able to buy. Some things you're going to have to stop buying as regularly. Some things you're going to have to buy less of. Some things you might have to change brands and get the cheaper brand. Okay, instead of going out to that luxurious restaurant every Friday night, cook. Okay, cook you some home-cooked meals. Can't nobody beat the way I cook my chicken. Okay, my chicken tastes better than anybody's chicken. Okay, plus it's healthy the way I cook it. Okay, go to lunch, take your lunch to work. You could spend between going out to dinner on once or twice a week and buying your lunch every day. That's probably at least $200-300. Could be maybe close to $500 a month. You'd be surprised at how much money it actually is. I'm going to talk to you about putting down some numbers on a piece of paper, and then you can actually visualize how much money you're spending. I know at Walmart, if you have a Walmart account, they actually show you the times that you actually visited there. And I'm looking on there and I'm like, man, I'm there every other day. What's going on? So I'm like, now I have to trim down my budget. I have to trim down my spending habits and stop buying. Thank God I have a lot of things that I need now. So I really don't have to buy anything. But I like to stock up. But sometimes there's no need to stock up, because you're spending money now that you could use for something else. Okay, you have enough of it, you don't need to stock up anymore. Question is, where you're going to put it. Now we're going to create a realistic budget of owning a home. Now you start by adding up every source of income that comes into your household. Okay, you add up all the income. Okay, get a piece of paper out and divide it into two columns. On the left hand side, you're going to put your income, all your incomes. You're going to list them by name, wages, and you're going to list them. But you want to put the gross amount, that's before taxes. Okay, any other income that you got coming in, child support, alimony, Social Security, anything, pension, whatever you have coming in, you put it, you label it, and you put the numbers there on the left hand side. On the right hand side, you want to put your expenses, whether they're fixed or variable. And when I say that, I mean, do you pay them every month, or do you just pay them, when you need the item? Okay, some things you may have subscribed to. You may have some subscriptions that you have subscribed to. Count those in. Okay, your gas and electricity, your cable bill, and everything that you pay for throughout the month. Even if it's like $11, your anything that you pay, even if it's $12. Okay, $10, $5, you may pay for it, okay? Put it down on the column, and then look at the two numbers and you weigh them. Okay, but what you do now, after you have the numbers, you look at them, you take your income, and you multiply that by 28%. Okay, and that is the number of the monthly amount of mortgage that you should be able to afford. That's actually the amount of rent that you should be paying. Okay, and if you're getting Section 8, your rent should be, if it's subsidized, that's probably should be constitute your portion, if not more, if not less, and then the Section 8 will be paying the rest of your portion. Okay, so now you have your income on one side and you have your expenses on the other, and now you want to look at the two numbers, and you say to yourself, hey, I'm spending way more money, And then also when you add it in there. When I say variable is like when you go to lunch. That's not a fixed expense. You don't have to pay that every month. But I want you to add that in there. After you add all your fixed expenses, now I want you to add how much money you spend at lunch, how much money you spend when you go out to dinner. Do you buy stuff, that you don't really need, stuff that you want? You say to yourself before you go to the store, do I need this or do I want this? Do my children need this or do they want this? Yeah, you have the right to treat yourself to certain luxuries, because if you don't, then you'd be a slave. You're just working for the man. So yes, you are entitled to treat yourself, but the main thing you got to think about is that house. And I talked to you about foreclosure before you even buy your first home. And you probably said, well, hey, why is she talking to me about foreclosure? And I ain't even bought a home. Even though it takes 12 months for a house to foreclose, you don't want to even, think about having to get your house foreclosed. Because you want to pay your insurance, you want to pay your taxes on time. Because if you don't, you're going to incur additional expenses. Why? Through the mortgage company. The mortgage company now is going to make you pay triple or double the insurance. If you don't pay it on time, they'll pay it, but they're going to make you pay 3 times as much as a penalty for you not paying it. Your insurance, same thing. Your taxes, same thing. That's all part of escrow. And all of this, I know it's probably confusing, but as we go through the process, we'll be explaining it to you. And I'm going to ask you to go to my website at Housing and Emergency Services for Low-Income People. And I'm going to ask you to sign up for the workshop. It's going to be a workshop. And you can just purchase the video and go through the videos on your own. Okay, you get a copy of the book. There's several books that go with several of my workshops. So I have a lot of different workshops, that will suit you. But this is basically just going to take you through home ownership. I have a financial management workshop that talks about budget, debt, and credit issues. That's going to get more in detail about, your budget and how much money you can spend, how to budget yourself, how to use credit, how credit can work for you and how it can work against you, and debt issues, how you can get out of debt or how you can actually manage your debt and still obtain additional credit. Okay, you'd be surprised you have money at your fingertips, okay? But a lot of people don't know how to maneuver the money and move it around and make it work for you. Okay, like if you're in debt, if you have a debt that you pay, some people may say, oh well, you don't have $1,600 to pay this creditor or whatever. There's a way that you can find a way to pay it and not be in default and still get additional credit, okay? So I have a book for that. I have a tenants book that's available for tenants who are going through problems and hassles and whatnot, so that you can understand your rights as a tenant. Okay, so there's a lot of books, and then I just have workshop books that actually we go through the workshop. I have a whole lot of different kind of books that will teach you how to be responsible, to show you what you need. They put the numbers down on paper, and as we put the numbers down on paper, now it becomes more real for you, because a lot of people don't understand the numbers. And that's what really is the bottom line. When you say, are you ready to buy a home? You're really talking about, are you ready financially to buy a home? That's like the bottom line. So now you've taken your income and you're taking your debts and you put it on the other column, Now you look at it and you're probably saying, wow, I spend more money than I have. Or I spend just about as much money as I have, or almost. That's why you don't ever have no money. That's why you're always broke. But we're going to stop that chain of being broke. We're going to stop that chain of lack. Even if you start with a small amount of money. Okay? And I always say, in addition to the money that you have in the bank, take some money out and put it aside in a little stash for yourself somewhere in a safe place that you know where it is. Okay? And this will be cash, because you don't always have to use your debit or your credit card to buy stuff with. You can use cash. I know we're so used to buying things with our credit cards that we don't even think about cash, But I like to put my hands on cash. I like the feel of it, I like to be able to, I like to hear it, see it. Oh yeah, not because we're real for me. Okay, so you wrote down your income and you wrote down your expenses, and now you have a better idea of what you need to do from this point forward, in order to, what you need to cut down on, what you need to, and I'm going to give you an example here of what I have in the book. Now, let's say it's two in a household, okay? Two sources of income. Two paychecks coming in, $1,600 a month each, that's $3,200, okay? Next, you write down your monthly expenses. Now, this is hypothetical. $750 savings. You want to add your savings, but you put that in the third column. Okay, so you have your utilities, your food. I have $300 for utilities, $300 for food, $300 for clothing. This is a big family. Transportation is $150. That includes gas. Medical $50. Personal $150. Recreation $200. Total monthly expenses $200. Now see how much house you can afford with the free mortgage calculator. Now, total non-housing expenses $2,000. Okay, that leaves $1,200 to cover the housing costs. And as you can see, there's $2,000 monthly expenses. So that's all the money that there is in this scenario. Sally recommends keeping your mortgage payment to no more than 25% of the monthly take-home pay on a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage. Don't forget to save a little extra money to cover the regular maintenance, as well as future home improvements and future replacements, and possibly some recreation. You want to put some money aside. You have a little money aside for maintenance and repairs, and you have a little money aside for recreation. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So your maximum mortgage payment in this scenario will be $500. Your maintenance and repair fund will be $250. But the magic happens when your income minus the outgo equals zero. Why is a zero a magic number? Because that means that you've given every dollar a purpose. $3,200 minus $2,000 equals $1,200 equals $432 monthly mortgage payment. Now in this scenario, first you're going to have to cut down on some expenses. Personal clothing and recreation can be reduced. That would be $450 after you've reduced those three. Not you haven't eliminated them, you just reduced them. $450 you can add to your to this now, or so if you qualify partially cut back, you can reduce this by $300, allocating $50 for personal, $50 for clothing, and $50 for recreation. That gives you an extra $300. So now you have 2 paychecks equals $3,200. Okay, next we're going to do the same scenario. We have $750 for savings, $300 for utilities, $300 for food, $50 for clothing, $150 for transportation, $50 for medical, $50 for personal, $50 for recreation. Now the total monthly expense is $700 instead of $2,000. So that's $300 that you've deducted from that you can now add. So now we have $3,200 minus $1,700 minus $1,500 times 28% equals $540. So now you can afford a more expensive house. Before it was $400 and something. Now it's $540 you can afford in a monthly mortgage payment. And I always overestimate. I always do it by the 10%. So if you're looking at a house for $100,000, I would say allocate $1,000 a month for all your monthly expenses, including your mortgage, your utilities, your cable, and anything else, your escrow, your taxes and insurance. And usually that $1,000 will cover it. But you're looking for somewhere where you can get a lower rate mortgage. 4%, 5%. That would lower your monthly mortgage payment. Okay? But by cutting down on certain expenses, now you have increased the amount of your monthly mortgage payment that you can afford. And if you're purchasing a new home with your Section 8 homeowner voucher, okay, so we're going to continue with, some more interesting topics on this. Achieving your dream of home ownership early in your life. And it's a step-by-step guide to purchasing a home. And my name is Sylvia Black, and I'm a licensed real estate broker with Affordable Homes and Apartments. And I ask you to holler at a sister, and I will see you next time. And we're going to talk about making it a habit. Make a habit of paying your bills on time. And maybe even consider auto pay so that they can take their money out when the bill is due and you don't have to worry about paying a late fee. Well, that money could have been spent on something else. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to holler at a sister. I'll see you next time. Peace out.